Hello and welcome to our final session of Virtual Aspire 2020. Today we have Fadi, Ventures Impact's co-founder and executive director here with us to talk about how V2I is building resiliency in this difficult season that we're all in. I think everybody knows Fadi, but Fadi, is there anything you want to say to introduce yourself before we jump in?
Hi, my name is Fadi. I work for Ventures Impact, and I'm happy to be here. How's that?
Perfect. We are both happy to be here. And I think I forgot to say it, but thank you everybody for tuning in throughout these past 2 weeks. We have really enjoyed getting to facilitate these sessions and have both personally learned a lot through it. And we're just so thankful for all of you who've been tuning in and watching and sharing. Hopefully we're all feeling a little bit more resilient and know a little bit more about how we can be resilient as a result. So, Fadi, what had you originally hoped the year for V2I would look like? Obviously, things didn't go as planned due to COVID, and what role has resiliency played?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we started the year, we knew that there were some key things that we needed to achieve as a team to continue to support our mission as an organization. Some of these things that we're focused on at the beginning of the year were focusing on securing new international organizations to continue offering meaningful volunteer opportunities for our community and continue to solve complex problems. We wanted to commit to excellent programming and volunteer care. So that included excellent project management, excellent facilitation on the ground, excellent post-program care, and all of the stuff that comes with that. And then we wanted to focus on our systems. We're a new organization and we're a small organization. So we had to fix some systems that we had outgrown, and we wanted to create some systems that didn't even exist for some new things that we were doing. And then the third thing that we wanted, or the fifth thing now that we wanted to do was invest in our team. So focus on internal team times, team building activities, and just have a really cohesive and healthy culture internally. Mm-hmm. We ran with that for about a quarter because in the middle of March, the entire globe was at a point of lockdown, physical distancing, travel, and facilitating programs abroad became impossible. And we definitely needed to lean on our resiliency to generate a new focus that is more relevant to the times that we are in now. So those included things like creating new programming to support the communities that are facing a disproportionate amount of hardship and difficulty at this time. Care for our volunteers that are going through difficult things, whether it's more responsibilities at work or balancing work and personal life, or layoffs or anxiety, or any of the things that they were going through. Building a stronger team internally. So really kind of focusing on helping the team process our experience, talk about what we're feeling and naming it, ensuring a balance and support to the team infrastructure to make sure that no one burns out. Because at some point we will go back to normal, whatever that looks like. And I just don't want us to unravel when we do.
Yeah, well, I don't want that either. Great. Thanks for just sharing, what we had hoped for and the changes that we've had to make as a result, and how that is all tying into building resiliency. So just connecting it to, all of the things that we've learned these past couple of weeks. We started off Aspire by hearing about Heidi's research around leadership and resiliency, and she talks about the 4 C's of control, connection, conscious, and contagious. So how have you seen the 4Cs at work for V2I in these times?
I think control is a really important piece. So the first thing that I had to do was to accept COVID for what it is. It's a global pandemic impacting the entire world. It's not about me, my organization, my work. We have to coexist with it and we have to accept it. And then we would start to shift our ability to what we can control. So accepting things for what they are, and then focusing on where do we control our ability and our energy. And from there, we started to experiment and pilot different things. So we launched a series of virtual team times, and we really didn't have a ton of expectations, but they worked great. They had high attendance. We got great feedback, and that increased our confidence and our sense of community and connection to the people that we're working with, and it created this contagious effect within the organization. So from there, we started to record training sessions for partners who are struggling in this new virtual world. And we started to kind of help them figure out how to work in this new normal, I guess. I hate that word. But in this new ecosystem that we're all living in. And we started to get really positive feedback from the partners and from the volunteers that were engaged. And then from there, we embarked on an even bigger goal of raising $60,000 to help organizations and communities find the right support for them in this difficult time. And so slowly we reached our goal. We have 9 organizations from around the world that are signed up to receive training from our skilled volunteers. And right now we're going through the journey of securing volunteer mentors, of developing curriculums, and just moving forward into adding value and creating community and just being a part of the journey of people that are most impacted right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're so right. That control piece is really key, both understanding what we can control and what we can't, and having to let go of that because there's so much that's not in our control right now. But also, Heidi said that when we take those small steps of control, it does help us to build confidence and momentum. And I just really hear that in what you shared, that small steps grew confidence, and things continue to grow from there. So another way that we've been thinking about resiliency is around our thinking, our emotions, and our relationships. So developing resiliency in those 3 spheres. So how have these 3 things helped V2I to be and to grow in resiliency in this time?
Right. So when we think about the thinking piece, for me, it's all about perspective and framing. Are we seeing new challenges and changes as opportunities for growth, or are they opportunities or instances where we just want to throw in the towel and give up? How do we reframe what we're experiencing to find the lesson and the insight, and to lean into a new direction, to generate a new idea based on that insight? So I think that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind with thinking, is how are we reframing what's the story that we're telling ourselves? And are we thinking about growth, or are we just thinking about giving up? Then with emotions, I think that's the work, right? And what Emily said with the video and the hand movement and the reptile brain, amygdala, prefrontal cortex, super resonated with me. And I think it's our personal and collective responsibility to identify how we're receiving messages, what emotions are we feeling, the stories that we're telling ourselves. And then when we feel these emotions, we have to really determine, where are we pushing these emotions? Are they going into fight, flight, or freeze? Or are we going a little bit more into the thinking brain, having conversations around them, contextualize them, trying to gain perspective, and then trying to find appropriate next steps for our team based on the emotions that we're feeling or the things that are coming our way. So that's a really important piece. And awareness and mindfulness and being in conversation as a team are just key to navigating that piece. And then I think in terms of relationships, first and foremost, it's to have a self-compassionate relationship with ourselves. I think that's for me where the key has been in this time. It's about recognizing that we're not going to operate at 100% every day, that we can't win at everything, and that sometimes there are just really hard lessons in life, and we must have the resiliency to endure with curiosity and openness. And the second part that's really important with relationships is just to find people that can listen, that can help reframe, that can help check the stories that we're telling ourselves. So we're not living in isolation. It really goes back to what Heidi was talking about around building community, which is a key factor to resiliency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just makes me think back to, in our first question, you talked about how a priority for this year was going to be around building strong team relationships. And I think that's been really beneficial for us right now, because when one of us is just feeling the weight of everything, it's really good to be in good relationship and to be able to support one another. And so having that strong team, having other people helping us to reframe our thinking or help us to get curious about our emotions, like all of that has been super beneficial in this time. So how do you think building resiliency in this season will help V2I in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think like the short answer is, how will it not? But to go into detail, I think part of resiliency is really understanding our own mission, our own values, and it's no different as an organization. So at this time, Venture to Impact continues to be guided by our mission of transforming people out of poverty into lasting well-being by connecting really skilled individuals to complex problems around the world. And we continue to advance that mission with the parameters, with the values of integrity, transformational work, and community. But now, how do we strengthen this organization in this time of uncertainty? And for me, the answer is we go back to our mission, we go back to our value, and we ask, how can we help? Where do we add value? Where can we support communities that need us now more than ever? How can we provide meaningful experiences to volunteers and invite them to be active participants in the work that the organization is doing today? How do we make sure that when we're able to go back out there, we're mentally and physically ready to do that to the best of our ability? I think these are the questions for me about what happens today to ensure a really positive future for us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me think that, all of life is connected. So yeah, this isn't happening in a vacuum, and this will, as long as we get curious and dig in deep right now, like it will continue to prepare us and set us up well for the future. So Fadi, how have you personally been building resilience during this time, and especially within the context of being a leader?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been thinking about resilience in a few different ways personally. So first and foremost is self-care, self-compassion. Am I kind to myself? Because if I'm kind to myself, I'm probably going to have the capacity to be kind to others. Am I meditating? Am I moving? Am I playing tennis? Am I staying connected to family and friends? And also having a community around me of people that notice, hey, you haven't done X in a while. Is everything okay? So having that accountability system, I prefer a soft accountability system of, hey, what's going on? But sometimes you need, some real direct conversations. And I think that's really good for me as well, too, sometimes. Secondly, in the context of work is, how is my team doing? So we have morning check-ins every single morning ever since COVID started. And the first thing that we do is we all share a word that we're feeling. It could be any word. We could give it context and explain the word, or we can just say the word and leave it there. And for a while, and this is probably back in May, for about 4 days, the word was tired. We're just jumping on the line and we're all sharing the word, and it's like ping pong, tie, 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 tie. And so I listened to that for a few days, and then, had to think about, okay, what does it look like for us to do something about this? Looked at the calendar. I don't really remember the exact timing, but there was a long weekend coming up. Came back to the team and I said, okay, there's a long weekend coming up. How about we take the Friday and the Tuesday off as mental health days for us to regain our energy, reconnect with ourselves, and just find that energy, motivation to come back and continue to do the important work that we do. So just being a good listener and really kind of staying in tune with how the team is doing. And then thirdly is perspective. This is a global pandemic. This is not something that's just impacting me. This is not a localized or personal issue. And what that means is that everyone's going through this. So who can I learn from at this time? What's Bill Gates saying about this? We love Brene Brown at Venture to Impact, and yes, her research is amazing, and she's doing a lot of amazing things right now at this time. So subscribing to her podcast, following her on social, and reading her blog is sometimes very topical and very helpful at this time of change and uncertainty. Harvard Business Review, Stanford Social Innovation, yoga and mindfulness teachers that can teach me different things, maybe my faith sometimes. So just really kind of trying to gain a global perspective about what's going on from a whole range of sources that are experiencing the same thing that I'm experiencing right now, and then understanding their take, and then pausing and thinking about what it means for me as Fadi today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just really appreciated a couple of things. You talked about your community helping you to be accountable to some of your self-care and self-compassion things, which made me think of, what Amanda said as well, that like when she's not doing her walks, that's something that her people can be like, what's going on? You said that's your non-negotiable. So I feel like it's emphasizing the point that we need to know ourselves, and we need, our community to support us in knowing ourselves and doing what's best for us, which I think is really good. And then, just with the team, thinking about, this isn't and like you said, it's a global pandemic. So it's something that I continue to hear from other friends as well, that there's so much to do at work and feeling burnout, or like this just isn't sustainable, but there's no other option. So what do we do? So it's definitely a collective problem. So I think it's really good that, you're listening and learning from lots of people, trying to hear what they are trying as well, because we're all doing the best we can, I think, right now. And there's no easy solution.
Yeah.
I forgot to say, people who are tuning in, if you would like to submit some questions that you want answers to while we're live, please feel free to put some questions in the chat. And if not, no big deal, but we have one more question regardless. So, Fadi, I'm sure people are wondering what next year is going to look like for V2I. Normally at Aspire, this is something that we talk about, and due to COVID, I think, just even more so, people are curious. So will you tell us what the team is thinking about?
Yeah, so the biggest thing for us is absolutely mission continuity. So continuing to advance our mission of transforming people out of poverty into lasting well-being through connecting skilled individuals to complex problems. I think the second thing that we're thinking about a lot is what does safe look like? When do we get back to the physical international abroad volunteering opportunity? And for us, we've developed a set of criteria that really guide that decision. Some of those criteria include, not burdening the healthcare system of the local communities where we go, our responsibility to these local communities, looking for guidance from main donors and main stakeholders like the government, the corporate organizations that we work with, and so forth, and many other criteria that I don't want to dig into now, assuming that people are interested in knowing every single bullet point. And then thirdly, we're going to be partnering with one of our corporate partners, one of the teams in the UK at one of the companies that we work with closely, to define a research project to further understand how we can add value to our community in this new context. So if you're a volunteer, if you're a partner, if you're a stakeholder of Venture to Impact, you might be hearing from us or from a team on our behalf to ask you some questions and to learn some insights from you. We're really excited to get your feedback and understand your experience so far with V2I and learn about your insights, because these are going to be driving some of the activities that we do in 21 and beyond. So these are the three things that we're going to be doing: continuing our mission of transforming people out of poverty, however that looks like, keeping our eye on the opportunity for volunteering with a set of criteria that we think thoroughly guides our decision in that area. And then finally, launching a research project to learn more about where our community thinks we can support them right now.
Great. Thanks, Fadi. Yeah, I mean, it's hard not knowing what the future holds and when things will change, but yeah, it's good to know where we're going amidst everything. So that is our final question for today. So unless anybody has a question that's burning for them, then we will say thank you. Thank you, Fadi, for joining us today and just sharing about what resiliency is looking like for you and for V2I, and what the future is going to look like. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in both today and for all the past sessions. We were, so sad that we couldn't be together in person for Aspire this year. So it's been really nice to still be able to do this virtually with you this year. And if you have any questions or anything, definitely reach out to Fadi and myself. And all of the videos will stay on our social media platforms. So if you haven't had a chance to watch them, do it. Or if you need to rewatch because you're like, what did so-and-so say about this? Rewatch them. Lots of great nuggets there. So yeah, thank you so much, everybody. And have a great weekend.
Thanks, Brianna.
Bye.